Hi, Glenn Crouter here. Thank you very much for listening to Head for the Hills, all brought to you by our good friends at EWOOL. They have a product that nobody else, believe me. And we're going to do local stuff and destination this entire season. We are so looking forward to it, and I'm so looking forward to talking to you over the next 5 months. Thanks for listening. Enjoy the show.
An original
from Story Studio Network.
Well, here we are. Where'd the week go, right? This time of year, everybody has just either been quiet or in the middle of chaos. I don't think that, Glenn, I don't think at the, sort of the end of December into January, there's any in between. It's either one or the other.
For a lot of people, it's been crazy for the last couple of months, but you're absolutely right. Christmas is just around the corner, Dave, and my kids are a little older, so it's not quite the buzz that we had when they were younger, but nevertheless, it's still a special time.
Yeah, well, and I think it doesn't matter. We seem to have started laying things on the calendar in November. So there was a combination of Christmas coming out from underneath COVID, everybody wanting to see each other. So, and the good news is we're back in here. It's Head for the Hills, and this is the podcast that we kicked off, well, I guess just after Christmas in 2022, and away we went and launched it all. So just to bring you guys up to date, we will be continuing Glenn's weekly reporting from the various locations, certainly through Central Ontario, across Canada, but we should remind folks of your plan into later in January. You'll be in Europe.
We will be. End of January, beginning of February. Before that, we'll be in Quebec City. And on Quebec City, Dave, this is really something that's been my biggest fear, is being kind of cooped into a gondola. Well, the gondola at Mount St. Anne, it fell off. Just before they loaded on, it was about a half hour. They do a routine check. And what happened was they did the routine check and the cable, the gondola on a cable snapped. So the gondola went down. So that's a half hour away from possible serious disaster. So Mount St. Anne is closed until further notice. So I have a feeling it's going to be quite some time before they can reopen because they have to go through that whole gondola construction again and maybe some other lifts as well. So anybody that's planning on going to Quebec, like I was, certainly Stoneham's open. Le Massif is open. So that'll be fun between those two resorts as well.
And we can hear the walkie-talkies in the background. Where are you? Where's your hidden location this week?
I'm coming in from Mount St. Louis Moonstone, just north of Barrie. The snow here is amazing. It's been amazing. Will be amazing all throughout the year as well. It's just they got the most up-to-date snowmaking equipment you've ever seen anywhere else.
Well, and one of the things that we like to point out is that the show, it doesn't happen without the support of our friends at EWOOL. And I know we're going to get into a larger discussion about the products that they offer, about the technology behind it. But I keep just coming back to, it's nice to be able to say, whether it's your skiing or skidooing, or my son is an ice fisherman, loves to do that too. This is a place where you can go enjoy the winter and be more than comfortable.
So many people, really, I see them on the ski hills, they're freezing. And they say, well, how come you're so nice and warm? Because I'm standing by the car many times giving out prizes and things. And I said, well, it's because I have EWOOL. I've got EWOOL socks. Well, it's not socks. And we have Alain Desmeules going to join us, the CEO of EWOOL, in a second. But I'm out there with my gloves. I'm out there with my socks, we could say, and also my heated vest. So I have no problem standing out in the cold. And it's amazing how long it lasts as well.
Well, we will direct you while we're having this conversation. Go and check out their website at ewool.com. Well, the fun thing about all of this and our association with EWOOL is that we were excited, I guess, Glenn, last year about launching Head for the Hills, and almost without missing a beat, the folks at EWOOL jumped on board and became a sponsor for the show. And I think Alain, you were on the show early on in last winter, right?
Yes, I remember.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was great to have you. So first, thanks for the comfort out there on a cold day, and thanks for supporting the show. It makes a huge difference for us. Thank you.
I'm so happy. Absolutely.
Alain, let me ask you a couple questions. By the way, Alain Desmeules, he's the CEO for EWOOL. Thank you very much for joining us, and also the sponsorship, as Dave mentioned. Tell me, why is your product so good? I can tell you why. I want you to tell the people why.
Yes. So I would think that the first reason is for me being born in Saguenay region, which is like a couple hours, I would say a couple hours north of Quebec City, uh, where the mountain starts, and it's quite cold. Like I remember my mother um, putting Vaseline over my face every time she would send me outside. It was so cold. So the knowing winter, understanding what cold is and experiencing that every day of the winter here, it makes a big difference when it comes to designing clothing. So we have great companies in the outdoor, but in the heated industry, I think we're the only one in Canada. And I think that makes a big difference. So for me, when I first tried heated clothing 7 years ago, I was hoping what it sounded like to be heating. And what a disappointment first receiving these garments and having very little heat coming out from these elements. So I think the first thing that we worked hard at was to make sure that when we push that on button, there's like an immediate feeling of being blanketed by heat. So if when you push the button, it's gotta heat, and it's when you're paying the buck for heated clothing, that's what you expect. So I think our first and foremost big feature is how powerful we are. And just to give you an example, in terms of quantity, we're most of the heated clothing on the market are about 9 watt of heat. We're in the 50 to the 60 watt of heat. So that's a roughly 7 to 8 times more heat.
I've skied when it's minus 30 out, and believe me, it's a savior to be able to do that, because I have to be out in the hills. It's my job to ski and then talk about it and things like that. So you've literally saved me many a time. Just a comment about, you mentioned the battery power. What I'm really impressed with, and I've tried the other products, believe me, is the duration, the length that I can ski out there and have my hands and my body warm, because other places or other companies, they don't even compare. Like I'm out there for maybe 2-3 hours max. With yours, I'm out there much longer.
Yes, absolutely. What gives that energy on the heating elements that are filling our vest is the battery. So a lot of the technology goes on to making thin batteries, but are not like looking like a brick.
Yeah.
Because that's what you would expect to be wearing when you have that much energy. But we worked hard to have thin batteries. We use the best lithium polymer, and we have a pure cobalt, and some sort of high density power that comes from our batteries, and we're able to give that power the energy. And also in our battery pocket in the back, we can also have multiple batteries, so that will give you what you need for the day. So it's expendable depending on the activity and how long you need to have that heat.
Now you've got something new this year, and it's another savior. And tell me a little bit about it. It's not a sock. I was a little confused with that. Yeah. Tell me how it works.
Well, the most single or the biggest request in that industry that we had for the longest time was to design a sock that works. And you would think that this is simple, but it happens to be the hardest of all the projects that we worked on. Making a sock, because it's confined in the boot, and usually it's very tight there, and also the weight of the body, the transpirations, the washing, and for all these reasons, it was the most complicated project. So we ended up thinking that maybe the socks itself, like being a sock per se, was not the best idea. We thought that if we could have a very thin sock cover, so something that would go on top of a thin sock made maybe of merino wool, something that you can wash easy. But the electronic component would be on top of that. So that's what we designed. We have an open heel, so there's a big hole at the end of it. So it's a bit peculiar when you look at it, the way that it's designed, but it's made of a thin lycra. And then the whole toe is covered with heating elements, 360 all around. So from the bottom to top, that's where the heat is. So yeah, and it works really well. It's a lot of heat, and it ends up being a good product.
When I pulled it out of the box, I looked at it and went, okay, what's going on? Really, it was a little confusing because I thought, do I just put my foot in it and put it in the boot, and so it's going to be a bare heel? And then I thought, okay, and then I read a little bit more about it. Then it said, okay, Glenn, no, you put a very thin sock, and there's basically a sock cover, correct?
That's correct.
No, it's pretty good. Tell me just a little bit about your the quality of your fabric. That's the real game changer as well. Not only the duration of the batteries and also the quality of the batteries, but your material. I was down at the ski show, and I ran into your guys down there, and they told me about the quality of your material, which separates you from everybody else.
Yeah, of course, it's a premium product. Most of the investment in our garment is the heating fabric. We're using carbon fiber to heat. We were using fireproof material and high quality heated fabric. And then the battery as well is a big expense in the electronics. So then the garment has to follow. So usually the socks or the glove, the heated sock cover, I should say, the glove liners and the heated vests that we have are all premium product. And it's really well made.
How about heated underwear? That coming up soon? Sitting on a chair in a cold day. Sometimes my body's warm, my hands warm, my feet warm, but my butt is cold. Just to let you know.
Yeah, we have that request. You know, the other ones that are asking for that are the ones doing the snowmobiling.
Yeah,
and usually the woman or the person in the back or the kids, whatever, they're not moving. They're just there enjoying the ride, but it's so cold for them on that position there. So those are also asking for those heated pants, heated underwears, heated pants. Yeah, we're working on it.
Can I ask you about the sort of the care and maintenance of that? Because if we're going to invest in this and I'm going to wear it maybe, I don't know, 10 or 12 times in a season, now, when I get that warm, I'm gonna sweat. I'm gonna whatever. What do I do to make sure that I don't turn the crowd away the next time I wear it, because I want to make sure that I've taken good care of it in the meantime?
Yeah, that's a good question. As a matter of fact, our products are professional products, so we expect people and workers to use them every day. So we have people working in cold storage at -40 every day, 360 days a year, and they are working with our products. So they're using it extensively. And of course, working, sweating, whatever is happening, you want to wash them at one point. And so we make sure that the electronic components, because there's little logic boards, the electronics in there, are the waterproofing is at the highest level in the IP. So we're IP68 waterproof. So they can be in a washer, no problem. So we would say that even if it's made to be underwater and in a washing machine, we would recommend to use a gentle cycle, not to use Javex or any bleach that would affect fabrics. And we recommend that after, when you just hang them instead of putting them in the tumbler and give them a good shake. So you just take it out and then you just hook it on a hook and let it dry.
Yeah, I was going to say I had visions of having to sort of disassemble it and put it back together, and I would end up, Alain, with extra parts, and that would work out so well.
Yeah, you remove the battery, so that's the only part that you would make sure that you don't throw in a washer. So you just unplug the battery, and then that's it. The rest is waterproof.
Now, this is a rechargeable battery, of course. Is there a component that allows me to charge that in the car because I forgot to do it at home? Is that an option?
It's a good question. The second part that makes us different is we understood that people don't want to fuss with batteries and start to feel that they're a robot. So we started to work really hard to make the batteries disappear, and we don't want the user to manipulate on a daily basis batteries. So we make battery pockets. We want you to put it there once when you receive the package or when you watch the product. But beside that, we don't want you to touch the battery. We want you to forget about the battery. So the batteries are thin and they're hidden from you. And all the interaction with the battery to know if there's what's the power left in the battery, we have that on the button. And also to recharge, this is where we come really strong because we use a magnet system so that you just plug the charger on the product and it will charge the battery. So you never really have to fuss with the battery. So to answer your question, at night you just come, you charge it by plugging the magnet, one simple snap, and in the morning you just unplug and go. As far as using your power outlet from the car, we have articles that you can buy, separate or pieces that you can use to charge from a 12-volt power outlet. Yes.
Yeah, so it's like my Apple Watch has that same kind of magnetic attachment.
Yes, it's exactly the same thing. So on our glove, our socks, and our vest, that's what we use.
Is there a product specifically for adults as opposed to kids, or is there anything for kids at all?
Well, I have a 13-year-old kid. I made one for my daughter. I just find that I have to be very careful as a company to start designing a heated product for kids that go outside at -40 and they keep their jacket open. They're completely aloof when it comes to being aware. And I'm just not ready to, I want to make sure that if we do one day get into garments for kids, that it's done safely. That there may be, we're getting into the sensors now where our products will shut off automatically when you forget about it and stuff like that. So we're getting the garments are getting more and more intelligent, and we're working hard at it. But we want it to be very safe when it comes to kids. So for now, it's everyone maybe from 15 years old and older, we don't mind. But for kids like 10-year-old, 9-year-old, we think it's irresponsible at that moment.
We're speaking with Alain Desmeules, CEO from EWOOL. My last question to you, Alain, you mentioned that you can buy extra batteries. I love the duration of your batteries because I ski basically, 6 hours a day. That's enough for me. But I know people that are out there first thing in the morning and they're skiing at night as well. Is there something there as a recommendation to buy 2 batteries? Because there's no way a battery can last 13 hours.
Yes, you're right. And, we sell a lot of our product to people working in the film industry, and typically those are 13-hour shift. So what they do, they buy 2 to 3 of our batteries, and we use a fast charging system. So the batteries can be charged in less than 2.5 hours. So that's how they are made. So they can literally, if they put the vest at the highest setting, where it's the most consumption of battery power, you can have one charging and one being used, and then you can swap them all day. So that's if you have access to a power outlet. If you're going for like our hunters, they are all day not moving, but they're in the forest, then our products have in the battery pockets, they have place for many batteries. So I would recommend that you buy 2 to 3 batteries, and this is your power reserve for the day.
That's great.
Oh, and in addition to that, I'd like to mention that we have also what we call an auxiliary power cable, so that if you're riding a motorcycle or a snowmobile and you have access to a 12-volt power, unlimited, then you can use that and plug it straight into the machine, so that when you have that power, you use it. And when you're unplugged, then you use the battery.
That's a great idea.
Well, again, Alain, thanks for this. And what I love is this. It's a sort of a good homegrown innovation story that really kind of gets at the culture in this country. There's so many great stories to be told about it. And you started to mention my niece's husband works in the film industry. My brother and my dad were avid hunters and froze their ass off many a morning, doing stuff didn't have to be in the winter. It was, a cold morning in the autumn. Yeah. So the applications of this go well beyond what we had originally thought in terms of, just being strictly for the hills. Is there a place where, when you start talking about the advancements in the battery itself, that's the magic of all of this.
Yes.
Are you looking at other applications other than, garments?
No, we really work. That's what makes us good, is that we are dedicated in improving the heated garment. of course, we're coming up with flexible batteries that are conformal, or that we call that, because they conform to the body. They really go around, and they're really thin, and they're flexible. They look like fabric. These batteries that are coming out, I would imagine that there's other application in the medical industry and other stuff like that, but we're not really doing that for that. So if one day these opportunities comes up, very good, but there's enough room in the clothing industry to use those.
Well, we do a lot of work with veterans groups, and all of a sudden I can understand. Okay, the military would be interested in visiting your catalog. Alain, thanks for joining us, and again, thanks for supporting the show. We really do appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much, David.
Thanks, Alain. Appreciate it.
Okay, my friend Glenn, where are you going to be in the next couple of weeks?
Well, I'm going to be local. We're going to stick to the local. Then I head to Quebec City. And just because Mount St. Anne is closed, I'm still going to go Stoneham and do Le Massif. And Quebec City's magic, as Alain knows, and everybody knows it's a great spot. So I'll be there. I think I go on the 9th of January. Before that, we'll be doing local stuff. Blue Mountain for sure, Horseshoe Valley as well. So kind of buzzing around local. And then I start from there. We go right to Austria. Then I come back for about 3 or 4 days, and I head to Fernie and Panorama in British Columbia. And then after that, Utah. So we're full. We got a lot of things going on.
I hope your AirPoints card is all up to snuff.
Aeroplan's my favorite friend.
There you go. All right, my friend. We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you, Dave.
Our technical producer and audio editor for Head for the Hills is Mike Trutler. Our production manager is Jamie Nickerson. Our executive producer is Aaron Trafford. And our sonic logo designer is Greg McDonald. I'm Dave Trafford. Thanks for listening.
This
is SSN.